The Chilling Case of Peter and Joan Porco, a true crime analysis. In the quiet suburb of Delmar, New York, a horrific crime in the early hours of November 15, 2004, shattered the peaceful image of this close-knit community. Peter Porco, a 52-year-old law clerk, was found brutally murdered in his home. His wife, Joan Porco, lay nearby, severely injured and permanently disfigured from what appeared to be the same attack. The weapon? An axe. Gruesome, unrelenting, and unfathomable. As news of the crime broke, what would unfold left the public in shock and disbelief. The couple's son, Christopher Porco, then a 21-year-old college student, was not only implicated, but ultimately convicted of the heinous crimes. Today, we delve deep into the events surrounding this chilling case, piecing together the timeline, the motives, and the enduring questions still lingering nearly 2 decades later. The morning of November 15th began like any other for Delmar residents, until a coworker noticed that Peter Porco, a dependable, mild-mannered law clerk, hadn't shown up for work. Calls went unanswered, and eventually a concerned colleague reported the absence. Police arrived at the Porco residence to an unimaginably horrific sight. Peter Porco lay near the home's front door, his body awash in blood. The axe used in the attack was left at the scene, a chilling reminder of the brutality inflicted during the early morning hours. Despite devastating injuries, Peter had astonishingly risen after the attack, attempting to go about his routine, including turning off a blaring security alarm and retrieving the morning newspaper. Tragically, he collapsed and died from his wounds shortly after. Joan Porco, however, clung to life. Found in the upstairs bedroom, she had suffered catastrophic injuries, but against all odds, she survived. Her survival was as miraculous as it was haunting, a silent witness to an unimaginable nightmare. But Joan's memory of the events that transpired was gone, erased by the trauma. The Porco family was, by all outward appearances, an ordinary happy household. Peter, a steadfast worker, and Joan, a devoted wife and mother, had raised their 2 sons, Jonathan and Christopher, in a setting of stability and opportunity. Jonathan chose a career in the Navy, while Christopher's life appeared full of promise during his college years. But cracks in this perfect image began to emerge as investigators dug deeper. Christopher, the youngest son, was under increasing pressure from a combination of academic struggles and financial deceptions that he had been hiding from his family. His once promising path began to falter, and his relationship with his parents grew increasingly strained. With little to go on initially and Joan unable to recount the events of that night, investigators relied heavily on forensic evidence. The crime scene painted a chilling picture of savagery. This was no random act of violence. Police theorized the attacker was someone with knowledge of the home and the victim's routines. Suspicion quickly zeroed in on those closest to the Porcos, including their son Christopher. Investigators noted that despite the horror of the crime, there were no signs of forced entry. Could the attacker have been someone the family knew and trusted? As investigators scrutinized Christopher's background, details emerged that placed him at the center of the tragedy. Surveillance footage from toll booths captured Christopher's car traveling from Rochester, where he lived, to Albany near Delmar on the night of the attack. The vehicle made the same journey in reverse hours later. Adding to the damning case were Christopher's financial motives. He had forged his father's signature on loan documents, amassing significant debt while hiding his academic failures from his parents. There were contentious arguments between him and his father, as emails revealed mounting tension. But the most haunting detail? Joan Porco, though unable to recall the attack, reportedly indicated that Christopher was the assailant in the immediate aftermath while still conscious. Joan's initial statement, paired with the forensic evidence and security footage, created a compelling web of suspicion aimed squarely at Christopher. As the investigation gained traction, one shocking twist captivated the public: Joan Porco's staunch defense of her son. Despite her initial implication of Christopher, she would later assert his innocence with unwavering conviction. Refusing to believe her son was capable of such brutality, Joan became a critical obstacle for the prosecution. This emotional complexity added a fascinating layer to the case. Was Joan's adamant stance driven by maternal love, or was she compelled to protect the last remnant of her family after such a devastating loss? Her belief in Christopher continues to divide public opinion. The trial of Christopher Porco captured headlines nationwide. Prosecutors argued a chilling narrative of betrayal, detailing how Christopher's financial troubles drove him to stage a gruesome solution to rid himself of perceived obstacles. He had killed his father and attempted to kill his mother to gain access to life insurance payouts and avoid exposure of his lies. The defense, however, fought to dismantle the prosecution's case, claiming insufficient evidence tied Christopher to the crime. They challenged the credibility of the security footage and noted the lack of direct DNA evidence linking him to the axe used in the attack. Inside the courtroom, emotions ran high. Joan Porco testified on behalf of Christopher, refusing to entertain the possibility of his involvement in the crime. Her testimony provided one of the most emotionally climactic moments of the trial, leaving the jury with the challenging task of separating facts from family loyalties. On August 10, 2006, the jury delivered its verdict, guilty on charges of second-degree murder for Peter's death and second-degree attempted murder for the attack on Joan. Christopher Porco was sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. For some, this verdict delivered justice to a grieving family and community. For others, particularly supporters of Christopher and his mother, questions lingered of what they perceived as circumstantial and ultimately insufficient evidence. The Porco case became a media frenzy, captivating audiences nationwide. News outlets dissected the evidence, the psychological profile of Christopher, and the drama surrounding Joan's support of her son. The sensational nature of the case made it a staple in true crime discussions, drawing in both outrage and fascination. Public opinion was divided. While many believed the evidence clearly implicated Christopher, some sympathized with Joan's plea for her son's innocence, fueling debates online and in courtrooms. The case left a legacy of controversy that persists to this day. Now serving his sentence in a maximum security facility, Christopher Porco continues to proclaim his innocence. Attempts to appeal his conviction have thus far been unsuccessful, yet support from his mother and advocates persists. Despite the public outcry and media spectacle surrounding the case, Christopher remains a polarizing figure. The story of Peter and Joan Porco forces us to confront unsettling truths about familial relationships, betrayal, and the depths to which financial desperation can drive an individual. For true crime enthusiasts, the case offers a grim analysis of how hidden tensions can spiral into violence. It also underscores the importance of forensic science, investigative persistence, and psychological expertise in solving such chilling crimes. But most importantly, it reminds us of the fragility of trust, even within the closest of bonds, such as family. The murder of Peter Porco and the brutal attack on Joan Porco remain an enduring story of betrayal, tragedy, and unanswered questions. For those who seek profound insights into the psychology of familial violence, this is a case that continues to haunt. What drives someone to commit such unimaginable acts? What role did financial deception and relationship strain play in this tragedy? Perhaps the most haunting element of all is the steadfast belief Joan Porco has maintained in her son's innocence, leaving us to question the true nature of the bonds that both tether and tear us apart. If you found this analysis of the Porco murder compelling, stay tuned for more deep dives into some of the world's most shocking true crime cases. Be sure to share your thoughts and theories about the Porco case in the comments below. Do you think justice was served?